What up, guys? Your boy Quake back with a brand new episode of the Diverse Mentality Podcast, number 300, and I think 44. Yes, 344. I want to first go over some things, obviously, as I always do in the beginning of the podcast, before I get into the news. The first thing is the podcast interviews are officially available on streaming platforms. Now, when I say streaming platforms, they're being pushed out to other ones. Right now, 100%, I know the availability is on Spotify. It's getting pushed out to Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, iHeartRadio, bunch of different, streaming platforms that you can think of, Castbox, whatever streaming platform that's, most people use and are aware of. Like I said at the end of the show, Dreamcast, all these, whatever, Castbox, whatever these platforms are, there's a lot of names for them. We're pushing them out to that. I took out the time on, I think, Friday to find the files for the old podcast interviews and organize everything and put timestamps on everything. So there's 5 interviews up. The first 4 are from this podcast. So what I've done is I've separated the 2. So it's no longer Diverse Mentality Podcast guests because 1, it doesn't sound that good, and 2, it's creating confusion because when you think about it, the artist interviews are now going on the main channel, which is Diverse Mentality. It's not this Diverse Mentality Podcast. So I've separated the 2. So you can find those interviews at Diverse Mentality Interviews. That's it. Just search up Diverse Mentality Interviews. And right now we're up on Spotify. Video versions and audio versions are available. Timestamps are on there. It's perfectly executed. The first interview is the Kid one when he first came here. That was over about 3 hours long. The second one is Kia Shine, who wrote for Drake Best I Ever Had, which is a diamond record, who helped write Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion's WAP, who worked with Yo Gotti, whatever. He's done a lot of stuff. Here's the second interview. The third one is Benzino, who came here on the podcast. And then the fourth one is Kid again, because Kid was the only one that actually returned for a second time for an interview. And then obviously the fifth one is Young Buck, which has already been out and released. And the reason why we are doing this is because Spotify is apparently starting to pay creators. They're trying to become the new YouTube. So we need to build our audience there. And I'm not looking to switch people's platforms of where they want to listen to me or watch me, right? I'm going to you. You don't have to come to me on whatever platform I'm at. If you like YouTube, I'm on YouTube as well. If you like Spotify, I'm on Spotify as well. If you like TikTok, I'm on TikTok as well. I'm meeting everyone wherever they want to be at. I don't want to have to force people to go to certain different platforms to get my content. So that's why I'm distributing on there and making sure that the video versions and the audio versions are on there and everything is, crystal clear. Once I get to a certain amount of followers on there and, watch time and whatever, play time, I can then have an exclusive program. So I'll be able to, like I do with YouTube memberships and Patreon, I'll be able to on there add a program where you guys can check out the full interview ahead of time, just like on YouTube memberships and all that. So that will be something I'll be able to add on Spotify later on once I get the criteria to be able to do it. So that's with the artist interviews. Now with the podcast, this podcast, there's only one thing that changed. Because Spotify is doing this creators program, I've decided that the audio and video will go on Spotify. So the audio will not come out earlier. So usually you guys would get the audio the first thing in the morning. And I know it's probably going to upset some people because I know some of you wake up and immediately start listening to the podcast in the morning. But we have to do it this way just because, one, editing the video version and the audio, what I would do is I would have the podcast. Sorry, that's my Whoop. Always notifications on here, man. It's crazy. I need to shut that off. I would have the podcast done, recorded. Then I would send the video files to my editor. And then the audio I'd already have. I would just add in whatever I have to add in from video clips and stuff like that, and I'd be able to upload it directly. But because, we're doing video versions on there, you can't upload audio and then video. You can't do them separately. You have to upload at once. Either you upload audio or you upload video. So because the video doesn't get edited and done until 6 p.m. Eastern every Monday and Thursday, that's when the audio will go up as well. So that's the only change. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that, whatever platform you're listening and streaming onto, nothing changes. The audio just goes up the same time the video goes up on YouTube. And the Spotify now has a video version as well with timestamps on there, so you guys will enjoy that as well. It'll make it a lot easier for you guys to be able to, skim through things. If you don't want to listen to certain parts of the podcast, I totally understand. But yeah, so that's the only changes that have happened. If you want to go to the artist interview, just go to Diverse Mentality Interview, search that up. You'll find it. All 5 interviews that I've done in the past are up there. And then we're going to be adding the Hot Rod one once that officially comes out. And then all I change on the podcast side is the audio is going to be coming out the same time as the video instead of coming out earlier like it was before. So nothing really changes too much. There's this little fly in here. It's pissing me off, and I'm not being able to kill it. It's like this little gnat. I don't know where the hell it came from, but of course, this is the office. Hopefully, I'm looking to set up my house, the bottom area, kind of like the basement area, to set up my own podcast area so I don't have to go to the office to record the podcast, and I can record news a lot quicker and, be a lot more aggressive with the news, where if something happens immediately, I can record and post it instead of having to wait, Sundays and Wednesdays, to record. So that's the update on like the platform and things that are changing. Another thing I want to address is somebody checked me in the comments when it comes to the Hot Rod interview. I believe it was part 5, could have been part 6, probably part 6. And they paid, their hard-earned money, $8 to be a YouTube member. And they commented saying I was scamming because I didn't put out the Hot Rod interview yet. I addressed the comment and was like, I'm not scamming. I've never scammed in my life. I can see why, that person thinks that, because, you're paying for a service and you don't see the interview up like I'm promising. I would be upset too, right? So I take full accountability for that. But with these interviews, I am, I'm learning. Unfortunately, with all 3 of these interviews, there's something that went wrong with audio or video. So I'm skimming through everything and making sure everything is good. And somebody said, why are you editing, the interviews? We want them raw and uncut if we're paying for YouTube memberships. And they are raw and uncut, but you still have to go through the footage to make sure everything is good, because there's probably a portion where the audio cuts or something happens. So you still have to go through it. It's not like you just record it and just upload it and just it is what it is. Like, no, that's not how it goes. You have to make sure it's quality control. I don't want to release something to you guys that's garbage. If I rushed it and released it out and audio is bad, lighting is bad, all this stuff, you're going to get mad at me. You're going to be like, what is this shit? Why am I paying for this? It's not even good quality. So I ran behind. I underestimated how long this would take in terms of editing the interviews and making sure things were right. It was unfortunate. These first 3 interviews, there was something that went bad. Fortunately, the Hot Rod one was the least one that went bad, which is ironic that it took me a while to do that. But it's still, there was things that went bad with lighting. Audio was pretty good. I only had little minor issues, but you got to go through over 4 hours of footage. It sounds like it's easy, but it's not. And then I'm doing other stuff, trying to get the social media going. We're getting some TikTok stuff going, and like it's just trying to balance everything out with the documentaries that I'm working on and all this stuff. I put the documentaries really on the side right now. I've been so focused on just making sure that these artist interviews are coming out properly and are being executed on social media properly. That it's a learning process right now. I'm testing out thumbnails, what thumbnails work, what thumbnails don't work. So just bear with me. The only, I delivered you, the person that was complaining, which they have every right to complain. I'm not, getting mad at the person or anything like that. You're still getting, because I think I only put out roughly 15 minutes of the Hot Rod interview. So the full interview of the Hot Rod is officially now available on the YouTube memberships and Patreon. So I just underestimated how long it would take. Now this next interview comes, it will be out right when part 1 comes out. I will guarantee that. I'm already working on it. And the Hot Rod one, there's going to be a lot of parts that come out because it's a long interview. It's 4 hours long, a little over 4 hours. So we're only like an hour, probably an hour and 20 minutes in. So we still have at least 15 parts to come out. So by then I'll be able to catch up for the next one. And now I'm talking with other people to do more interviews right now. So I'll be able to be ahead of the curve a little bit. And now with these next interviews, I'll be able to learn from my mistakes. And things will be a lot smoother of a process. It's a learning curve. I know some people are new to my content. They only know me for these artist interviews now. I'm gaining a lot of new subscribers from each clip that comes out. I mean, the clips aren't even doing insane views, but the subscriber count is high because it's a whole new lane. It's something that I haven't done yet on the channel. So it's bringing in a whole new audience. So the people that are commenting, I totally understand. I mean, I'm not a scammer. I've never scammed in my life. I've given away PS5s. I've given away merchandise from 50s documentary. I've done my due diligence and not scamming ever in my life. I just don't believe in that. Like, what's the point of me scamming people for $7? When I could build a whole audience, which I've been doing for the past 7 years, 8 years. Like, it doesn't make any sense for me to scam for $7. It's just not worth it. Or $8, sorry. It's short-term thinking, and it doesn't do anything but just cause people to get mad. And, it's not worth it. Why would I spend all that time and money to go interview Hot Rod and scam you guys for $7 or $8? It doesn't make any sense, right? But I get it. He was upset. I addressed him in the comments. I addressed anybody else that commented as well under that. So I just want to say I apologize to that guy. I apologize to anybody else that is supporting on the Patreon and YouTube memberships who's not getting the interviews exactly when part 1 comes out. This next one will come out exactly when part 1 comes out. I will guarantee you that. I'm already going to start working on it, I think, tomorrow. So by the time all this stuff's done, it will be ready to go. And yeah, we'll move forward, and this process will be a lot smoother. So this is just my second interview, so just bear with me. It's its own process in itself. So yeah, I just want to give you guys that updates. I don't want to ramble on too long about that, but yeah, let's get into the news. And there really isn't much news, but I want to talk about a few things, and then I also am going to review Eminem's STANS documentary. Yes, I went to go see it with my brother, and I haven't been to the movies in a long time. I did not know they were that expensive to go see a movie. It was like $22, $23 per ticket, which is insane. Last time I remember the movies were like $10, like $12. I haven't been to the movies in such a long time that I don't remember ever paying $23 for a ticket. It was insane. But yeah, I went to go see it, so I'm going to give my review, my pros and cons of the documentary. And yeah, that'll be the wrap of the episode after that. Of course, we got to start the podcast off with Diddy. Every podcast episode, I think there's going to be something relating to Diddy. And his team now is saying they didn't talk to Donald Trump about a pardon. So let's go over the article. Diddy's lead attorney, Mark Angerfello, says that the Bad Boy Mogul's legal team hasn't reached out to President Donald Trump about receiving a pardon. Deadline previously reported that Trump is seriously considering the move. I have nothing to do with a possible pardon, Angelillo said to CBS News. As caught by Billboard, I have had conversations with nobody. I have not spoken to the president. I have not spoken to anybody who speaks to the president about Sean Combs. I have not. The update comes after another member of Diddy's legal team, attorney Nicole Westermoreland, recently told CNN that they did reach out to Trump to inquire about a pardon. It's my understanding that we reached out and had conversations in reference to a pardon, she told the outlet. So she was, I guess, misinformed. He says something else. That's a bad look for anybody's legal team. They don't have communication with each other properly and put stuff out in the news, whatever. But I don't think this is a big deal. Who cares whether they reached out or not? I don't think it's going to make a difference. I don't think Trump himself said he's not really interested in pardoning him at all. And I don't see Diddy getting out of this situation. I mean, he's just going to have to face whatever time that the judge feels he has to serve. And that's it. He is, what's crazy is there's reports that he's considering potentially, once he gets out, doing a welcome back tour. Not a tour, but a show in Madison Square Garden in New York, which would be interesting because would it actually sell out? Would people go? And I think they would. And that's the crazy thing. I do think people still support Diddy, regardless of them seeing him beat the shit out of Cassie. That's where I draw the line. This other stuff, we can't prove. We don't know 100%. And it is what it is with that type of stuff. Obviously, all the RICO and all that stuff is crazy. But, he didn't get, essentially, he beat a lot of the charges. And, there's a good argument that, hey, Cassie was fine with it. She was going along with it until she stopped getting paid. There's a good argument for that. And I can see why people say that. So that stuff I can put to the side, which is fucked up in itself. But the Diddy, domestic violence, beating her, that's in front of your eyes. We all see that. There's no AI. It's legitimately that footage. And that I don't respect any person like that. I don't like anybody that puts their hands, especially a man putting his hands on a female, let alone a female doing it to the man, regardless. It's cowardly. It's garbage. So I never really liked Diddy in the first place anyways. Like, I never sat there and was like, oh, I'm going to go listen to a Diddy album. I love when Diddy jumps on this track. In general, I've never been really a fan of Diddy overall. Even as a kid, I just never really checked for him, and I didn't really care. So as the years went on, doesn't really matter to me. Now I have like a legitimate reason not to like him. And yeah, so there's going to be people that don't care about that stuff, though. They will go to the show if Diddy decides to do a welcome back concert in Madison Square Garden, there will be people that will attend. It might actually be sold out. Will there be celebrities showing up? That's debatable, depends. But people will show up, man. There were protesters out there. There were supporters. There's still Diddy, Diddler supporters out there. And I'm not surprised. You know, there's been people that have murdered people, and there's still some people that support them. Like, what was that guy that there's a mugshot of a guy who did something really bad, and all the females like, oh my God, he's so handsome and stuff. Like, whatever he did, it's all right. Like, it's fucked up that some people think like that. Hey, that's the world we live in, and, you know, we'll keep our eyes posted, of course, as usual with anything relating to Diddy. Kodak Black has been hit with a default judgment of $10.6 million. Yes, you heard me right, 10.6. Let's go over the article. Back in 2023, Kodak Black was sued by two men, Mark and Adam. Reportedly, they were both shot alongside him at a Super Bowl after party the year prior. They blamed the rapper for the shooting in their suit, and now they're seeking a hefty default judgment. Earlier this week, August 6th, Judge Tiana Murillo vacated on August 18th trial date for the lawsuit. This was after the men's lawyer argued that Kodak should cough up $10.6 million. Since he allegedly failed to respond, the judge has rejected two previous requests to find him in default. She gave them until August 25th to submit an updated request for entry of default. Kodak has never been served with any lawsuit from California. He was never on notice of anything from California, Kodak's attorney Bradford Cohen told Rolling Stone. I find it unusual that they're attempting to sue the very person who was the most injured out of the individuals who got shot. We are not paying them a thing. It's us who are the victim of a legal assault by these two people, Cohen also added per TMZ. They allege Kodak initiated the altercation that led to the shooting. There is video evidence that shows Kodak running to the scene of a fight to help people getting beat up. When the gunfire starts, Kodak gets shot, so they are arguing the man who got shot. I don't understand the lawsuit. So they're suing, the man who got shot. I don't understand the lawsuit. Yeah, his lawyer makes a great point. I think I remember this from a while ago, you know, the Super Bowl incident where he did end up getting shot. But yeah, if the footage proves that Kodak had nothing to do with it and he was arriving there later on and then shots randomly rang out, then yeah, this default judgment makes no sense. And, you know, I say this all the time, and it happens with the Game situation. And I will try to talk to Game about this if I do end up getting an interview with him, if I actually get the time to, because I know with the Buck situation, it was, yeah, we're going to do 3 hours, and then ended up being just an hour. So if I do end up getting the proper time and talking to Game, I will ask him about this. But I don't understand why these artists just don't show up to these things. His lawyer is saying that they never got paper or documents, but I'm sure they did. I just don't think they're organized. I think things are all over the place, or they can't get their artists to show up. It's like if Game would have showed up for that lawsuit from that female, he'd probably been able to save himself all those millions of dollars that she won. You know, now he has to change things and put things under people's names and not under his name, and all this shit you have to avoid just because you wouldn't show up to court and just say, hey, I didn't do this. It's that simple. And the same thing with this Kodak thing and just any other of these lawsuits. Like, these artists need to protect their money, man. They work really hard for their money, and they're just willing to throw it away because they don't want to show up to court. It's a very immature, stupid thing. Continuing on, more lawsuits. Busta Rhymes is sued by his ex-assistant for alleged assault and labor law violations. Let's go over the article. Busta Rhymes shocked fans this past January when he turned himself into police over an alleged assault incident at his Brooklyn building. Now the alleged victim of that supposed attack, his former assistant, Dashiell Gables, wants millions of dollars in a lawsuit addressing the accusation. Per All Hip Hop, Gables' federal filing also accuses the New York rapper of labor law violations. The former assistant claims Busta punched his face in his Brooklyn apartment's lobby after a verbal altercation due to Gables using his phone on the job. This allegedly resulted in Gables' eyes swelling and emotional trauma. He also accuses the rapper of failing to pay his wages and mistreating him under the workplace law. Busta Rhymes turned himself in a few days after this alleged incident after allegedly fleeing the scene. Dashiell Gables went to the hospital with police and paramedics after a 9/11 call following the alleged incident. Busta's charges included third-degree misdemeanor assault, attempted assault, and harassment, but it seems like this lawsuit shifted the focus. Furthermore, Gables seeks $6 to $7 million for alleged assault, battery, wage theft, and infliction of emotional distress. After the alleged altercation, he claims Busta and his team cut him off and ended his employment with them. The former assistant will reportedly address the lawsuit later today. Nah, I did not address it. A private conference with the legal team. So, yeah, he did not address it at the legal process. Yeah, man. Obviously we can't believe, anybody's side of the story. We don't know. We weren't there. But, this is, and they're humans. I get it. Celebrities are humans. They're going to have emotions. They're going to do things that, just don't, when you're angry, sometimes you just don't think straight, right? But at that level, man, you need to, if something goes wrong, man, just get out the situation any way that you can. Let somebody else handle it. The lawsuits are harder if it's somebody else putting their hands on you versus the actual artist, right? It's a ploy for money. Like, anybody that's trying to get you angry to slap them, hit them, whatever, it's just a ploy to try to get money. And usually they end up getting some kind of money as long as they have proof of the incident. And it's not worth it, man. At that level, imagine if, this person wins the lawsuit. You got to pay $7 to $8 million. You know how much money that is, how hard Busta Rhymes works for that kind of money. It's just these type of incidents, I'm always surprised. I can't be surprised. Like I said, they're human. Things happen, and people can lose their temper on things, and it's possible. I can totally understand. But there needs to be some type of his team should have been like, hey, get out of here, man. You're getting heated. Back up. Don't do anything, because if you do something, it's going to cause a lot more problems for us. And that's what it's done. So it's sometimes about having a better team around you that can control your temper and tell you to back away and let them take care of it. Yeah, it's unfortunate, man. I don't know if it's true or not. We'll see. We'll keep our eyes posted on what happens with this lawsuit. But, if he ends up losing this, that's a lot of money he had to pay forward. That guy's going to have a huge come up, and he'll be set for life if he actually spends the money right. Gunna, last one. So he dropped his new album, The Last One, which allegedly is the last album on Young Thug's label. So he's going to be officially out of that. He completed his contractual agreement with Young Thug's label. And apparently Young Thug sent out a tweet disrespecting Gunna. So let's go over the article. Gunna just dropped his new album, The Last One, which reportedly marks his final album under YSL. As such, many fans expected him to at least say something about his former mentor, Young Thug, and their post-Rico trial falling out. And it seems like they got what they wanted. On the track Prototype, as caught by Kirko on Twitter, the Georgia rapper seemed to address Thugger's tweet and delete about Gunna shortly after his release from prison. Gunna, stop acting like we friends on the internet. I don't know you, my guy, he had written. Thug never confirmed nor denied full responsibility for the tweet and delete. And it seems like we now have a response. This is what Gunna said. N-word had tweeted my name. Must have had to be a typo. Wanna seemingly responded to the shady comment. Of course, take this with a grain of salt, as he could be rapping about something or someone else entirely here. But given the visibility of that conflict, the context behind it, and how both artists have handled this so far, for the most part, fans can't help but come to this conclusion. Yeah, I can see why they can come to that conclusion. We'll see how this album does first week sales, but people are saying that Gunna is gonna outsell Thug and Lil Baby. Like he's gonna outdo both of them. Because let's be honest here, Lil Baby has basically fallen off musically. He just hasn't been what he was in 2020, like 2018 to 20, maybe 21. You could say he had his run, but after that, he's kind of fallen off musically, where people just ain't checking for him like that. And Young Thug got released, dropped that track with Future, which I liked. I think he might have dropped more tracks. I wasn't keeping up. And he hasn't really had that type of buzz either. So with people calling Gunna a snitch and all this stuff, he's still doing well musically. And I don't understand. 50 posted about Gunna and his song recently on his IG. And I just trollingly said 50 Cent and Gunna collab coming soon, just as because I want new 50 music, right? I'm just, any way I can find a way to get 50 to drop some music, I'll comment it, I'll say whatever. And then the responses are, 50 would never work with a rat. He's a rat. Fuck that. Listen, man. Yeah, might be true. 50 might not ever work with him because he technically, quote unquote, is a snitch, whatever. I don't view him as a snitch because I don't think he directly sat there on the stand and said, hey, this person. Some people might argue otherwise. Regardless, if you are not a gangsta, if you haven't been in the streets, if you don't do anything gang related, you don't live by the gang code, who gives a fuck who snitches? I could give two fucks. It's got nothing to do with me. I'm not a gangsta. Is the music good? Cool. I'll listen to it. I don't care. Like, I still don't understand where people have this thing of like, fuck him, he's a snitch. It's like, bro, he's not snitching on you and you're not a gangsta. You have nothing to do with the street life. It doesn't affect you. Is the music good? Cool. Listen to it and that's it. So to me, like, even with 6ix9ine, I don't care. If he dropped right now a fire song, I would be listening to it. I don't care what people say about the snitching thing. That to me I don't care if you snitch. It's got nothing. Now, if you're a street rapper, right? Like, see, with 6ix9ine, it's a little bit more of this is where my issue with 6ix9ine is. It's not about the snitching thing. It's about pretending to be this gangster rapper and saying, I'm not going to snitch and all that, and then getting locked up and snitching. That's where my dilemma comes in. It's like William Roberts, presenting this cocaine lifestyle that he's this Rick Ross and Bose, but he's not. He's a correctional officer. He's never done any of that stuff, right? That's where my because when I listen to music, I want it to be authentic. I want it to be about, who you are as a person. Yeah, can you make, like funny styles and different, personalities like Eminem does with Slim Shady, talking about killing his mother and these women and abusing all this crazy Slim Shady style. Like, yeah, I can understand that type of, that I can understand, because at the end of the day, music is entertainment. And people need to look at music. I don't know why they look at it from a different lens of like, music has to be authentic and then movies don't have to be, right? Like, when's the last time you've ever complained about a movie not being based on a true story? You really haven't, because it's just entertainment. And that's the same thing with music. Hip hop has made it to where music has to be authentic to you, and if it's not you, you're not cool and we don't fuck with you. That's mainly hip hop's rule. But like, rock music, they say a bunch of shit that makes no sense. They talk about a bunch of stuff that has nothing to do with them. So it's really, for me, that's where my issue is with 6ix9ine, is like, if he drops a record like Gotti Gotti, which is more of a melodic, it's not really gangsta, I'll listen to it, man. I like Gotti Gotti. It's a great record. But if he's like, talking that gangsta tough talk, that's where I kind of have the disconnect, where I'm like, okay, you snitched, you were scared, all this stuff, so you can't be talking that tough talk. Gunna never really, I think somebody in the comments when I mentioned this before said that, like, Gunna, he has some gangster lyrics, so yeah, he was talking about that gang life. Potentially, he could have a song or two, but I'm talking about like his image. Like, when you think of Gunna, you don't think of gangsta music immediately. You think of swaggery, fly type of music. Drip too hard, don't stand too close, you can fuck around and drown. Off this, like that type of record, that's where I think of when it comes to Gunna. I don't think of, yeah, I'm a pop hollow tips clip, like I'll shoot your shit up. Like, I don't think of that type of stuff. When I think of 50, I think of that type of music. When I think of DMX, I think of aggressive and, slap the shit out of you type of music. Like, but with Gunna, nah, I don't think of that type of music. So to me, I don't really care that he snitched. He wasn't this type of rapper that was presenting this gangsta lifestyle anyways to me. So who gives a shit if he snitched? It doesn't change his music. He can still rap about being swagged out and having bitches and whatever the hell else he's going to rap about. To me, it doesn't change. So we'll see what happens moving forward. But obviously, Gunna and Young Thug, I don't think are ever going to be cool again. And Gunna, regardless of most of the music industry turning on him, he's still holding a presence. He's still holding weight when it comes to music. And we'll see what the first week sales. I'm sure there's going to be something there where he does great numbers, because the public, if you go online, you'll see people calling him a rat. But in real life, the streams are there. People are going to his concerts. They don't care. That's what I'm saying. The internet and real life, two totally different worlds, man. On the internet, people will clown, people will talk shit. But in person, things are totally different. So we'll see what happens moving forward. JID dropped his new album as well, so a lot of new music to consume. I haven't had a chance to listen to Gunna or JID yet. I'm still catching up on the Freddie Gibbs and Alchemist project. And so I just been with these artist interviews that I talked about earlier in the podcast. I've been just kind of figuring that out with the social media side of things as well on that. So I've been kind of like playing catch up with a lot of different stuff. So that's unfortunate. I wish I could review some of these albums as they come out. But JID talks about working with Eminem on Animals and Fuel. So let's go over the clip.
Higher package joints that I'm assuming just didn't make the album.
Yeah, for whatever reasons, yeah.
Yeah. One track I gotta highlight, Animals Part 1.
Yeah.
What mode do you get in mentally when you know you about to spar with Eminem on a track?
The same old, woke up, smoked the blunt.
Yeah.
Started rain. But it was nothing for real because I had a bigger plan for that record that didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
So I made adjustments or whatever, but literally just sent him a 16. Bruh sent back. I was like, damn, it's long, twin. Like, to make it a song.
Yeah.
But he was like, nah, let me just get this off. He wasn't tripping on it being an album, whatever. Like, I seen a little discourse like about his fans saying, oh, why he wouldn't put. But I'm like, bro, don't care. He's a real rapper. Like, bro just was sharpening steel. I don't know if he got a new album. I don't know what the fuck, but he just was ready to rap.
Yeah.
And you got to respect that coming from anybody and not putting such a burden on where it landed. You know what I'm saying? It was just calm conversation. Oh, cool. Like, appreciate it. Like, thanks, Marsh.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's also dope that y'all have that rapport because obviously you was on Death of Slim Shady.
Yep.
I personally feel like he wanted to get his get back. He felt like
I stay out of that. I stay out of all of that. Best verse. It's about the music to me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So whoever got the best, I don't even really care. I don't never change no verse after I get somebody's verse back. I've never done that.
For real?
Yeah, M changed the verse a couple times. I ain't changed, you know?
He's like, I can't correct.
Keep it cool. You know what I'm saying? It's just about the art, bro. Like, this fucking culture we in, bro. This is such a beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so blessed to be a part of it. So when I get opportunities like this to do a song with Mos Def, M, Method Man, like, you know what I'm saying? These are the people who set the foundation for some of this stuff we're doing. T.I., like, the Outkast and all of it, you know what I'm saying? Big Boy. Having these relationships, like, is bigger than a lot of things that I foresaw, like, coming into the industry.
Damn, I don't know if JID said that Eminem had to change his verse a couple of times when it comes to JID's verse. I don't know if he was hinting like him or he's just saying in general Eminem has done that. But, hey, man, one, it's cool that Eminem just kind of, hey, man, I just want to rap on this song. I don't care if it lands on an album or not. You can do whatever the hell you want with it. I think one of the reasons why he's like that, too, is because he knows 99.9% of people, they got an Eminem verse, they would put it on their albums. Like, the chances of, like, an Eminem verse not landing on someone's album, especially because Eminem doesn't really work with a lot of artists like that, you know, JID was going to put it on the album. Like, there's no way he was going to just leave it as, like, a leftover. So I can understand, you know, it might be genuine where Eminem's like, hey, I don't really care. I just want to rap. JID was talking about sharpening his steel. Makes sense, right? Because Eminem is a pure rapper's rapper. Everybody else has gotten into business and stuff. Eminem has never really gotten to any business venture other than music-related stuff. Yeah, he's got shady films because of the Stans documentary, but, like, what is he at? He had a clothing line at one point, the record label, but everything's been, like, so close to music that he just, you know, he's one of the few artists at that level that didn't get into, like, any business involved. He was just straight music, which is why he's still relevant to this day. But very cool, man. Very cool behind the scenes. And I agree with JID that, like, hey, man, music, let's just get to it. And some people felt like JID cooked him on the death of Slim Shady. So Eminem wanted to get him back. And JID is like, I'm not trying to get back and forth with that because, you know, then you end up getting into a battle. But very cool behind the scenes. And obviously Eminem snapped on that verse. I think that's one of, you could argue it's one of Eminem's best verses post-drug rehab, I guess. So speaking of that, continuing on with JID, he talks about pretty much defending J. Cole's Kendrick Lamar apology because a lot of people gave J. Cole backlash. I understand where J. Cole's coming from because still to this day, the stans of this Drake versus Kendrick thing are still talking about this beef. I'm talking about the stans, the crazy fanatics. They're still talking about verses and lines and diss tracks and what it is break down to and stuff. It's like, guys, the beef's been done for over a year. Move on from the whole fucking thing, man. But anyways, let's go with JID. Let's go over this article. While some rumors and presumptions have always followed JID in his career moves, his loyalty to J. Cole and to the Dreamville Collective continues to shine through. He recently made an appearance on the Joe Budden podcast to talk about his new album, God Does Like Ugly, and a whole lot more. For those unaware, Dreamville recently ended their distribution partnership with Universal, something that Bass has already spoken to Elliot Wilson about. He said that Cole and the rest of the label's camp shared the payout from this business deal with the artist, and the Atlanta Spitter made similar comments. Not only that, but he used the commitment and support as a defense against critics of the Kendrick Lamar apology over Cole's diss track against him last year. They didn't go public, but Dreamville sold Dreamville. JID remarked concerning J. Cole, as caught by Joey. Cole looked out for everybody that was part of Dreamville. That's one of the most beautiful things in hip-hop right there. That never fucking happens, and it happens to be to the regard where if guys on Dreamville that was a part of it don't want to do music and they just want to move on with their life, they would be good, be straight. You do it because you love it. Very cool of J. Cole. Let's play this clip now of JID talking about J. Cole apologizing to Kendrick Lamar.
I mean, but that happened.
Look,
this recently happened, and Boss spoke to this.
What?
Boss spoke to. They didn't go public, but I mean, Dreamville sold Dreamville, and Cole looked out for everybody that was a part of Dreamville.
I heard Boss talk about that.
That's one of the most beautiful things in hip hop right there. That never fucking happens.
That's dope.
That
That's
never
dope.
fucking happens, and it happens to the regard where if niggas on Dreamville that was a part of it don't want to do music and they just want to move on with their life, they'll be good.
Damn. Oh, that good.
Be straight. Like, you do it because you love it, not because it's you trying to
Feed your
gang,
family.
like, make
off
Oh, you about to shoot a lot of videos.
Dog.
Word. Yeah.
I'm just saying, if we want to speak to
That's fire.
real shit
That's
in the
fire.
industry, we want to talk about apology. Nigga, apologize 30 more
Yeah,
times. Nigga,
exactly.
that is the
Exactly.
greatest nigga on fucking earth.
Wow.
And ain't in this predatory ass industry, nigga get up with a fuck.
That's real stuff.
That's fire.
That's how it. That's how it should.
And this ain't got nothing to do with that, but I'm just saying, like,
Yeah,
yo,
that's
nigga
fire.
was blessed in the most
Imaginable.
unimaginable, selfless. You ain't have to do that. I know hella niggas who sold their subsidiaries or whatever in
And ran off. Ran right over. Never saw him again.
For sure. I was talking to. Damn, I don't
Somebody
know,
else
put him out like that.
LeBron owe me, man. Shut up, nigga. Oh,
But that's when, like, that's one of the greatest things I ever seen.
Yeah, man. Shout out to J. Cole. That's a really cool thing to do. And it's no surprise. J. Cole just seems like a genuinely good person. So there's been there's been stories of, like, for example, JID didn't mention in the interview, but there's an example of Master P basically selling out and saying, peace. You guys can deal with whatever you guys want to deal with, whatever artists that were signed part of the label. He just sold his portion, got the fuck up out of there, and left the artists to deal with their own issues. There are artists that will do that will leave certain artists high and dry just to get their money, and they'll dip, and whatever happens to that artist's career has no concern over them because they don't own the record label anymore. They sold it, they got up out of there. So for J. Cole to do a deal, but make sure every artist gets their piece of the pie, and if they want to leave, they can leave, and whatever they want to do, J. Cole, is giving them that opportunity. So shout out to J. Cole, man. Genuinely a great person. And yeah, shout out to JID. I need to check out the project. NBA YoungBoy. Never broke again, boy. He broke a Billboard record, which is, at this point, has become pretty normal. But this Billboard record, you could argue, is like, I'll explain why I'm talking about that, like that, about this record. NBA YoungBoy may catch flack for dropping more projects than some labels' entire year, but you can't say it hasn't paid off. According to Billboard, he just broke an absurd record on the Media Corporation's 200 albums chart, making him a literal one of one in this metric. YB's new album, Massa, recently became his 34th album to chart on the Billboard 200. 34 albums is insane. And officially made him the rapper with the most entries on this chart of all time. For those curious, the previous record holder was E40. The LP debuted at number 6 on the charts with 49,000 sold first week in the United States. NBA YoungBoy's massive success also marked his 16th top 10 album on Billboard 200. He's tied with Jay-Z and Nas for the third most top 10 entries among MCs. They're behind Drake with 17 and Future with 18. As for the general rapper list on the Billboard 200, Snoop Dogg has 30 entries. Gucci Mane and Tech 9 have 29. Lil Wayne and Nas have 24. Jay-Z has 23. Tupac has 21. And Future has 20. I'm assuming they're counting collab albums and EPs and LPs and, whatever. I think they're counting just everything that has that person's name attached to it. in terms of albums and projects, because Jay-Z solo albums has not dropped 23 solo albums. I think he's dropped 13, something around there. You know, so collab albums, Beyonce, I don't know what other projects you could count, but that's crazy for NBA YoungBoy to be tied with Jay-Z and Nas right now. But here's why I said earlier, this record doesn't really mean much. It's top 10 entry for albums. For singles, like if you're in the top 10 on the Hot 100, which is competing with every genre, that's good. Usually a single in the top 40 is a huge success. If you get to 40 and then below and you're staying there, you're not just, hey, I touched number 27 and I fall off, or I debut at number 1 and I start to fall off. Like if you stay in the top 40 for a long time, you got a successful song. With albums, a little bit different, right? Albums can fall off a lot quicker because usually the first week the hype's there, and then by the second week it dies down, third week, fourth week, and it just starts to fall off for most people. Some albums stay on the charts for a little longer, but so a top 10 debut doesn't really matter like that because of how quick the albums start to fall off. Like if you debut at number 1, sometimes debut at number 1, you'll end up at like number 13 the next week. Like just that quickly, because the first week sales is what usually the hype is at. And then after that, if the album doesn't really hit like it's supposed to, it starts to fall off. And with that first week hype, yeah, you can drag people in to listen to it and check it out. But if they don't stay, what does it really matter? So if your album debuted at number 7, right, in the top 10, and it falls off to number 30 the next week, who cares that you got a number 7 slot? It's like a song debuted at number 87. Do you really give a shit at a song debuted in 87? No, it doesn't matter. That song, you don't know right now what song is on the Billboard Hot 100 at 87. You can't name a single song that you listen to that was at number 87 on the Billboard Hot 100 that you know was at number 87. Because it just doesn't matter. Unless you're in the top 10, or at least the top 40 matters for radio play. So that's why I say top 40, because radio play usually picks up top 40 records. They don't, anything out of the top 40 usually doesn't get played as much. So if you're in the top 40, you're doing well because you're getting radio play, you're getting streams, you're getting all this stuff. And people might say, hey, I don't give a fuck about radio play. That's outdated, old school. Crazy enough, a lot of people still listen to the radio. I know that's surprising, but there are people out here who just, want to listen to the radio, want to listen to random songs. They don't want to, have to be their own curator when it comes to music. So it's a great feat, but it's just really, NBA YoungBoy is just throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks. Like 34 albums is utterly ridiculous. The guy has like 13, 14 kids too. It's like the guy just drops shit and he needs to get a vasectomy done because he's just having kids out of nowhere too, like crazy. He's only like 25 years old and has 13 kids. Like that's insane. So the guy just decides to just do whatever he wants to do at the moment. And impact wise, I don't know. I've gone through a couple NBA YoungBoy albums, but a lot of them sound the same. I mean, right now, just one got announced with DJ Khaled hosting it. What's interesting about that project is it's not an album, it's a mixtape. But what's interesting about that mixtape is Kevin Gates is featured on one track. So I think NBA YoungBoy and Kevin Gates have fixed their relationship, which is really cool because NBA YoungBoy and Kevin Gates have great chemistry on music together. The 4 tracks that they made, I need a whole fucking album with them together. I would love to hear that. But yeah, round of applause for NBA YoungBoy. Great feat. But, top 10, if it was number 1, he would be amongst like legends. But yeah, regardless, still a great feat. Now for the review of Eminem STANS. First, I went to the movies and wasn't expecting to pay $23 per ticket. Brought my brother along, hit him up. I was like, hey, you want to check out this Eminem STANS documentary? Like, cool. We go there. We get to, pay an astronomical amount of money. I end up getting a drink and popcorn just because I don't go to the movies often. Last time I was in the movies is probably 2019, maybe 2021. I don't know, but it was a long time ago, right? I don't really go to the movies like that anymore. There's really not much to watch that I really care to go and see. Actually, the last time I was in the movies was The Sound of Freedom. That was the last Sound of Freedom. That was the last movie I saw. When did that come out? July, actually 2023. So 2023 is the last time I was in the movie. So roughly 2 years, right? So I'm like, all right, let's go get the tickets. Let's go. We head there, start the movie. It starts out with this Eminem quote of like, hey, I love you fans. If it wasn't for you guys, none of this would be possible. Cliche stuff like that. And then it starts out with Eminem walking and he's like walking through these rooms, and then he sits down, and you can tell it's like an interview, you know, where he's sitting down in the chair, the lights are on you, and then yeah, it gets into this whole kind of timeline of Eminem's life, but it's mixed in with the fans and how much Eminem's life have impacted them. And so I'm going to give my pros, right? These are the good things about the documentary that I really, really enjoyed. One, the quality is there. Like, there's nothing that I complained quality-wise. Like, you can tell that it didn't just, like, half-ass this documentary just to get money, or, you know, they actually took time out to, you know, properly edit, properly execute the storyline of what's going to happen. You know, quality is there. Is it worth going to the movie theaters to watch it? That's a huge argument. Like, it could have been released on Netflix or whatever, and it would have been more worthy, I guess, on there than movies. But, you know, it was there for a weekend. I was like, why not? I haven't been in movies in a while. Why not go? So, movie theater quality-wise, not really there, but it's very good. Very well done. Now, what I was expecting with this documentary is that it was going to be mainly focused on stans. Like, it was going to be led with the stans, and they would, because, you know, it's stans in the documentary, they would, you know, it would be mainly interviews of people, you know, who love Eminem, who's a stan of Eminem, right? And it was that. But here's what surprised me. It was a good balance of, like, Eminem's perspective on things and his story on things, and him revealing a little bit, you know, more information of his life. And then it was the stans, like, kind of, you know, their perspective from a fan's perspective of how they felt. And the cool thing was, like, there was timelines. Like, it would show 1999, 2000, 2001, 2002. And they would show, like, these timelines, mainly, like, significant moments, right? It would not go to, like, the moments that people don't really care about. Like, it got to the moments of 2000, I think 1999, 2000, because 2000 is when Eminem wrote Stan. And they actually showed, which is interesting, they showed some behind-the-scenes footage of Stan being shot. I don't know if it's available on YouTube. I know there's like an MTV or something like that where they show a little bit behind the scenes, but this is like high quality HD, like 4K, where Eminem's like writing, you know, in the music video. So they show a little bit like behind the scenes, which I really appreciate because that's really, really rare footage. And for them to pull that up and show us, really cool. So that's because I made the Give It a Try documentary, and I had some really, really rare footage in that documentary that Sha Money gave me. So to me, that's a huge thing. Like, from somebody who makes documentaries to watch it, I pick up on a lot of these things of what they did. So I really appreciated that. So the execution was really well done. But this is where my execution problem was at, right? So quality-wise, great there. Execution's great. There's a good balance of stans and Eminem. And Dr. Dre was there in the documentary, Jimmy Iovine, LL Cool J, a writer who ended up interviewing Eminem in like 2000, 1999, somewhere around there. He's like a staff writer for a magazine. I forget which one. He talks about like Eminem's journey. And that's really about it. There's no 50. They mentioned 50 briefly at the Anger Management Tour, and they show him when in 2006 when Eminem was struggling to answer questions because of his drug addiction, how drugged out he was. They showed that part. But really, there's no 50 in there. He just briefly mentioned him. And what I enjoyed was, like, during the drug part moment, it showed, like, you know, what Eminem was battling through. And then it mentioned the Proof's death. You know, they went into detail with that and how Eminem handled that and how he was going through a bunch of problems and almost died. And then they get to the relapse, you know, and Eminem kind of shits on the album, and they talk about, like, the accent and all this stuff. And I love, that's my favorite Eminem album of all time, now that I really thought about it over the years. So Eminem kind of, you know, he kind of doesn't really shit on it, but he just kind of brushes it off. And then they show, like, recovery, 2010, and his comeback moment. And the cool thing about the recovery moment is they show, like, behind the scenes footage of the recovery shoot for the album cover, which was cool. Again, I really love that type of stuff. Yeah, but the stans in this documentary are insane. One guy literally started taking drugs because Eminem was taking drugs. One guy took out school for like 3 months because Proof died. Like, my father would literally kick my ass if I ended up being depressed, not going to school because of some random celebrity's friend dying. Like, I get it. You get connected. Like, this is why I'm saying I'm not a 50 Cent stan or a stan of any celebrity. Because I've never done that. I don't go astronomical crazy levels of like loving 50 and being like, oh my God, I'm gonna get 50 tattoos. Like there's a stand on there that has tattoos all over her body of Eminem, like faces of Eminem all over her body. Like I would never do that. And I think, and this is not to disrespect these people in this documentary. I don't want this to come off as disrespectful. But I think becoming a stan is you struggling with your own identity as a person. I think that's the only way you can become a stan, that you idolize somebody else's identity so much that you want to be them. So you just do everything you can to engulf yourself in everything that they do and support everything that they do. Because me personally, I love who I am as a person. I would never trade it for anybody else. I have my own identity. Of course, meeting 50 Cent would be one of the greatest accomplishments of my life. I would love to interview him, but I don't sit here and I'll go crazy. And if I met 50, I want to, I'll lose my mind and faint and cry. And I might end up crying a little bit because, hey, you know, it's 50 who's motivated me to do a lot of stuff. But other than that, like, I've never sat there and been like, I'm gonna get tattoos of 50 all around me. I'm gonna go shoot shit up because 50 said I'm gonna, you know, like I've never taken it to that level of things. And I don't think anybody should. It's unhealthy. There's a certain extent where it just goes too far. And some of these stands, yeah, it's just too far. Like that guy taking 3 months off of school because Proof died. Like you don't even know Proof. Like, yeah, it's a sad situation, but you don't fucking know Proof. He died. It sucks. Move on with your life. You have nothing to do with Proof. He doesn't know you. So that kind of, the stand part of it kind of turned me off a little bit because some of them took a little too far. But that's what the point of the documentary is. I was expecting that, so I didn't really complain about that. That's not like a con in this. It's not like a negative thing of this documentary. I expected that. I was expecting, honestly, more of the stand stuff. I was expecting more crazier stuff to be on there, and there wasn't. There was a good balance of Dr. Dre, Jimmy Iovine, Eminem, the news article guy, and then the stands like intertwining with each other. So I really enjoyed it, and that, just the way it was executed, it was really well done. My biggest issue with this documentary, I would have gave this documentary like a 9.5 out of 10, almost 10 out of 10. But I'm knocking it down 2 points because of this, because this is a huge thing to me that really disappointed me. Throughout the documentary, they tease to these stands and to us as an audience that Eminem is going to meet them, right? And he's going to surprise them, and they're going to go crazy, and it's going to be cool, and blah, blah, blah. It's going to be a heartfelt moment, all that. Throughout the documentary, Eminem doesn't meet any of them. Like one of the female that had all the tattoos of Eminem, she's like sitting in like a coffee shop or a restaurant. I think a restaurant that Eminem used to work at when he was younger. And they like pan the camera to this like black SUV that's driving by. So in your mind, you're thinking that's Eminem. He's going to pull up. She's going to go crazy. And it's going to be a cool like moment. None of that happens. Like Eminem doesn't meet anybody in this documentary besides one guy who ended up meeting Eminem in 2013. So not in the documentary. He met Eminem in 2013 when he was hanging outside, and Eminem saw him and was like, come here, and blah, blah, blah. He got a quick chance to take a photo and sign, blah, 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 and then dipped. So that guy got to meet Eminem, but it wasn't in the documentary. So that, to me, docks 2 points off this documentary. It's an 8 out of 10 because you're teasing that throughout the whole documentary, and it doesn't happen. And I think it's very disappointing for like, these people got selected to be in this documentary, which is very cool. Why not? These are stands. They're huge fans of it. Why not have them meet Eminem? Like, why not put that in there? Why not have them meet Eminem? Now, they could have met Eminem after the documentary, outside of the documentary. That's a huge possibility. I don't know. So I'm not attacking Eminem for not doing it. He might have met them after the documentary, but it would have been really cool to include that in the documentary because they were teasing at that, and it would have been just a great moment. As a fan of 50, if I'm in a 50 Cent documentary talking about him, I do expect to meet the motherfucker. I would be pissed if I didn't. It's like, what the fuck am I here for? Just to talk about how much I support him? Like, it's a stupid thing, but it is what it is. I think that's the main disappointing thing, and it's a huge thing. But other than that, very well executed. I'm definitely going to watch it again because I did miss some stuff. So whenever it comes out on streaming platforms, I'm going to check it out again. But yeah, if you haven't seen it, go ahead and check it out. I think it's done in theaters. It was for like a weekend. So if you haven't seen it in theaters, all good. Check it out on streaming. Worth the watch, in my opinion. I knew all the stuff in the documentary, though. A lot of the shit, probably like 80% I already knew. 20% was like new information. But everything, Eminem's timeline in this story. Most people know it if you're a fan. But yeah, that's my review of it. 8 out of 10. Great execution. That part of not, meeting the stands, huge disappointment. That should have been included in there, especially because they were teasing it. If they didn't tease it, I'd give a little leeway and say, 9 out of 10, but 8 out of 10 because they were fucking teasing it and it didn't happen. So yeah, that's my review of Stans. Check it out if you haven't. Let's get into new music. And Gunna, last one, obviously came out. Bryson Tiller, The Vices album. JID, God Does Not Like Ugly, the album. Young Nudie Paradise, the album. MGK, Lost Americana, the album. BX The Plug, Hell at Night song. Tory Lanez, Nobody, Quarantine. DJ Premier and Rocco Marciano, The Coldest Profession album. Logic, Nobody Safe. Mosey, Intrusive Thoughts, number 2 album. Album sales, Morgan Wallen, number 1 with I'm a Problem at 135,000 sold. K-pop, Demon Hunters soundtrack at number 2 with 100,000 sold. Rennie Rap, Bite Me, number 3 with 65,000 sold. Suicide Boys, number 4 with The Kingdom Come at 57,000 sold. Justin Bieber Swag, number 5 with 44,000 sold. Alex Warren, You'll Be Alright Kid, number 6 with 43,000 sold. Morgan Wallen, One Thing at a Time, number 7 with 40,000 sold. SZA SOS, number 8 with 36,000 sold. Yeet, Dangerous Summer debuted at number 9 with 34,000 sold. Tyler, the Creator, Don't Tap the Glass, number 10 with 29,000 sold. NBA YoungBoy, Massa, number 14 with 27,000 sold. Clips, number 16 with 25,000 sold. Party Next Door and Drake, Some Sexy Songs for You, number 19 with 23,000 sold. Kendrick Lamar, GNX, number 21 with 22,000 sold. Metro Boomin's A Futuristic Summer debuted at number 22 with 22,000 sold. Drake, Take Care, number 35 with 18,000 sold. Eminem, Curtain Call, number 49 with 15,000 sold. That's it for today's episode of the Diverse Mentality Podcast. As always, appreciate you guys' support on YouTube memberships, Patreon, all that. It means the world to me. And if you want to check out the interviews, go to Diverse Mentality Interviews, search it up. You'll find all 5 interviews up there from the past and now the present with the Young Buck one. And we're going to add more as time goes on. So appreciate the support. Spotify, Deezer, Pocket Casts, all that, Apple Podcasts, stream us and download everything. Have an amazing night, day, whenever you listen to this, and peace.